Don't ever leave a piece of you out of what you do, because it's you. And that's how you bring uniqueness, no matter what it is.
Welcome to episode 4 of Time to Start Up, a WPI i3 Lab podcast series. The i3 Lab is the place where students go to ideate, innovate, and incubate their wonderful startup ideas. And today we're going to talk about mentorship. And we are here, joined in our podcast. Thanks for joining us with one and only Rob Sarnie. He is a fintech professor, a mentor, an entrepreneur in residence here at WPI. He spent a significant amount of his life working for Fidelity Investments. He mentors here and in so many other places. And he also has his own podcast, which has a really cool name, What the Heck Fintech. Mr. Sarnie, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Okay, so thank you, Art. I'm honored to be here. I've watched this on TV, and I was excited I got the call. I'm here.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming, and thanks for bringing the energy up a bit.
I'm gonna bring it. I'm bringing it. It's coming.
So we can maybe keep the energy going all the time. So we'll dive right in. You've been a mentor for probably more years than you can remember now. You've helped so many students and non-students on their entrepreneurial journey. My first question to you is, how does one become a mentor? How do you think about it? Or how do you wake up one day and say, hey, I'm thinking about mentoring people?
So I'm gonna back it up a little bit too. So I'm a sports guy, right? So I was fortunate enough as a 12-year-old won a Little League state championship. Pretty cool, right? It's big in my head.
Cool.
Yeah, 12 years old, 1978, shows how old I am, right? Do the math, everybody. And also won a basketball state championship. So I saw what it takes for great teams to be champions. I saw it at a young age, saw it early, and I noticed that it's all about the coaching. It's all about the mentoring. It's all about getting to the fundamentals. No matter what topic, what sport, if it's theater, it's all about the leader, and there's coaching and mentoring going on with the captains. So it all comes full circle with me about sports. So that's what was my early seeing great coaching, great mentoring. I've seen bad coaching. I've seen bad mentoring too. And I see coaching and mentoring as two different things. Mentoring's more longer term. That's where you get to know the person a little bit more. Coaching's more one topic, one thing, like a shooting coach, right? Get your shot down, get your elbow, get your index finger, all that goodness, right? So your feet right. So that's great. You need that. And sometimes there's a lot of mini coaching sessions when you do mentoring, but it's a bigger purpose because you know that. So I was always big into that. When I'm growing up, I always tried to give back. If I knew something it could help someone, I'd help them. Well, it could be someone older than me, it could be someone younger than me, it could be a peer of mine. So because I always appreciated that's what makes championship teams. It takes a village, and the coach and the manager is key. You can be a manager, and you could be a manager, you could be a leader. You might be both. You only might be one or the other. I've seen leaders that can't manage. I've seen managers that can't lead. But when you have one that manages and leads, most time they're a great coach and a great mentor. So that's what I learned in industry, and that's what I learned in sports too, at a very, very young age.
Wow, what a great opening. So you've seen bad coaches, bad managers, bad leaders, and good ones.
Yep.
Good mentors. What makes a great mentor?
A great mentor, they listen first. They ask a lot of questions. They want to understand the person, where they're coming from, what are their challenges, what are they trying to do, what have they tried already. Because you can't just go with a straight boilerplate, this is what you need to do, something that's written down, steps 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to be more dynamic than that. You have to talk to them and understand them and really to help them. And I had so many great mentors, so many great coaching, and many mentors, not just one. it has to do with the situation I'm in or the thing I want to learn about, right? And I did that. I would seek that out, but then also I would give that back. So great mentors ask questions to really understand so they can pull out the right story, the right situation, and to show that they've been through that too. They've wrestled with that. Whatever the topic is, whether it's being a startup or just trying to be a leader or trying to manage a big, hairy, multi-million-dollar project, right? You have to put yourself in their shoes and leverage your stories so then you can show them, okay, you go left, you go right, but it depends on your style. I always tell them, don't do what I do. I'm just giving you examples to get you thinking, but you have to do it your way, your approach. Otherwise, it won't be authentic and it won't be effective. So that's some of the fun. You got to listen. You got to listen and watch and see where the person's really getting challenged. And some of it could just be nerves and they need confidence.
Yeah.
So it depends. It's not just a boilerplate approach.
Right. So you got to assess the situation, who's in the room, what type of help they need,
Right.
and then adjust it to.
That's right. And pick out those right stories too.
Yeah. So you've
As a
mentored
mentor.
and coached a lot of people, a lot of startups. Why do you have more fun with students?
Why do I have more fun with students?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take another step back, right? Because my love for mentoring, right, and also by seeing it, but when I was at Fidelity Investments for 23 years, I used to be a chairperson for a few mentoring programs. So I got to see high-end mentoring for the, not students, but for, young professionals, trying to learn and get better and matching them, and then following up to make sure they're good mentees. That's the key to a good mentoring relationship. The mentee owns the relationship. They drive it. They set up the meetings. They drive the agenda. And you want the mentor in there to be there to help, and you give that agenda early so then they can be prepared to start thinking about, okay, maybe I'll use this story. I got to ask a few questions, but you think it through. So it's not just willy-nilly. Sometimes it's dynamic and you hear things and you react to it. But it's all about, and I learned that early as I co-chaired and chaired mentoring programs at Fidelity Investments for IT professionals, and I learned a lot from a lot of great people that are great mentors too, and I see how they do it and how they frame it, and so I learn from everybody. So that's when my love of mentoring really came to be. When I got mentored and I wanted to give back to the next generation, and what I noticed once I got to be a professor, for teaching, for mentoring, for coaching, they're just people. It doesn't matter if it's I talk the same way that I do to students than I do when I was mentoring my peers or VPs or directors or analysts at Fidelity. It's all the same. Because you learn from them and they learn from you. So talk to them and just have a dialogue with them. They just don't know because they haven't done it before. You've done it before, so help them, right? I'm sure they've done things that I haven't done before.
So essentially, keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Do the right thing. Be helpful. Yep. And listen before you give advice.
Understand the situation. I'm a big Stephen Covey fan. Seek to understand before you can be understood. How many times have you seen a leader come in? You suck, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, this is how you need to do it. You're like, that's not motivating anybody, right? They didn't seek to understand, right? And if they won't listen to me on my coaching or my mentoring. They won't unless they know I listen to them. And that's the key to just people in general, too.
So this just turned from what a good mentor would be to what a good leader is. A good leader seeks to understand. So you can't be a good mentor if you don't have good leadership qualities.
It goes hand in glove, right? And you can lead many different ways, and you can mentor many different ways. Sometimes quietest in the room is the best leader or the best mentor, right? It depends on how they approach, and make the person feel comfortable. Have a dialogue with them. Again, goes back to understanding them. But then, be a little vulnerable yourself. That mentor should tell, like when you had a hard time or you almost gave up and you came to the brink, you failed like miserably. The great ones have failed miserably. I see. I'm not a great one. I haven't failed. I'm like Disney failed. I'm a big Disney freak, by the way. Disney failed, 300 times. Right? They it went bankrupt. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Steve Jobs got fired from his own
company.
Catastrophic. Yeah, his own company. But greatness, right?
Yeah.
And that's being a leader. And in anything, you need to fail. You need to fail. You need to fail fast. You need to learn from your failures. And it goes. And I'll bring it back to sports too. Yeah, I remember the big wins, but I remember the big losses more. I remember when I messed up and I didn't make the play right, or I wasn't a good teammate, or I didn't listen to the coach. I remember those more than the times that I listened and did the right thing. So it stings more and it sticks with you more. So failure is the best learning that you can have. And you want people to bump their heads. You just don't want to keep bumping it so they're bleeding, right? You want them to bump it and get better and learn. So and that's where you got to let, as a mentor, as like a parent too, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, and I always say in my classes, this is just one big mentoring session. The topics just change. I'm just here to get you where you want to go. I got to grade you. That's my approach. They make me grade you, and I'm a pay for performance manager. So the points I give you are my cryptocurrency payment to you, and I don't pay you unless you do the job and deliver.
Yeah. So let me ask you a specific question around mentorship again. But so when you're mentoring, you're trying to help, let's say, a student or whoever it is, but you're not trying to give them the answers because they have to do the work. What's your approach, or what's the best approach that you've seen that's been effective for you when you're coaching and mentoring, let's say, student teams, since we're in a WPI? How is your approach to guiding them through it, but without giving them the answers?
Yeah, I do it by you don't do it my way, do it your way. Do what's comfortable to you. I'm just giving you ideas. I'm giving you what I've done. Take it, twist it, try it a little bit differently. The situation's going to be different for you than to me. I'm just giving you that situation so you can think through your approach. You're not me. Don't try to be me. It won't come off authentic. I couldn't be you, Ardian, right? I wouldn't, and I'm not going to try, right?
I can't play as good basketball as you do.
That's true. We know that that's a fact, right? That's not just.
That's not even.
That's just pure, strength and skill, But and good looks. No, sorry.
Of course.
And then but I say these are just examples, and I want to hear their reaction to it. Do you think they'd be comfortable doing how I did it? And if not, and I tell them, sometimes I switch it up. It depends on the audience. It depends on where I'm doing it. It depends on the how challenging it is. It depends how much money on the line is here too. Although it depends on the situation. The situation is critical. Anytime you do anything, you gotta size it up. So that's a skill that will help you in any tough situation.
Mm-hmm. So understand the situation before you open your mouth, basically.
As best you can. As best you can, because sometimes you get someone quiet and you got to ask them questions to get them loose, right? So they tried this. What have you tried? Open-ended questions, not not like detailed. Hey, what did you try already? How'd it go? Like simple questions like that, and then it gives you the information to then, in turn, think through your Rolodex of stories in your head and help them.
I've seen, talking about the quiet people in the room that you mentioned early, I've seen it many times where I make it a point, if you're in a meeting with let's say a few people, usually there's one or two people that don't speak unless you ask them, and I make it a point to ask them for their opinion on the matter. And often, and most of the time, you get the best answers and the best analytics on the situation from those people. And hadn't you not gone there to ask the question and dig for it, you wouldn't have learned that side of the story.
Right, because they absorb and think through things differently than extroverts. Yep. They're soaking it up. Things are rolling in their head, and they've been thinking about it for a while. And so then when they do feel comfortable, then there they go. That's why. because they just absorb and process things differently. Like I like to talk out loud. I like to whiteboard. I always say I'm never the smartest one in the room, and I just want to I want to feed off each other and learn from each other, whether it's a leader or coaching or mentoring. Right? I want to react in the moment and then build on that.
Mm. So, student startups at WPI, you mentor here, you mentor other places. What is the best way for young founders, students usually, or non-students, they're starting out, apart from here that we help them match with mentors within WPI, what is their best way and what is the advice you'd give them when they're starting out to go about finding mentorship, creating their own mentorship network, leveraging that mentorship network, and getting the most out of it?
Yep. So lots of things. So I always networking's huge, right? So if there's someone you want to get mentored by, right, you got to somehow have a connection with them, right? Because you're not gonna be able to cold call them. They don't know who you are, right? You might want to meet them at an event and then ask questions, right? Mm-hmm. And I always tell students, and your questions tell me more about you than your answers. Tells me what you care about. Tells me what you're psyched up about. Tells me what you want to learn about. Tells me where you're going to hustle. I can tell it in your voice, mm-hmm. how you ask it, how you frame it to me, right? And you don't have to say, look at me. Even on an interview, right? You don't have to say, look at me. I hustle and I deliver. How about this? Tell me a story. I can see in the passion in your voice how you got that done. What got you pumped up? I could see how you, maybe a side smile, or how you delivered it and how it got you energized, or whatever it is, right? So ask your questions. Show your personal brand. And that could be quiet too. It doesn't have to be you get all passionate. And so that is key, right? So ask questions. Again, seek to understand, but on the other side, right? And then get a dialogue and really listen, so then you can weave in your stories as a startup, as a things that you tried and things that you want to learn about, because then that person's going to want to, work with you, want to help you, right? I'm going to go back to sports too, right? And when I used to, hire so many people at, when I was working in industry, I do not want the prima donna. The prima donna that's not going to listen, not going to help, not going to hustle, and because they think they're the smartest one in the room, right? They have to know that it takes a village to figure this out, right? So I want that person that's really going to dig in and help. I'll take someone that hustles over someone that's super smart any day of the week, because I'm more about the team and how to get things done. So if they're coachable, that's a key element. And I hear that more and more because I get to go to a lot of pitch competitions because of the fintech field I'm in. I go to Mass Challenge. I talk to the mentors there, and and with What the Heck Fintech, right? So I get to talk to leaders there too. I keep hearing coachable. You got to be coachable. If you're not coachable, that shows you don't listen. No mentor is going to want to deal with you. So be coachable.
You touched in a nerve in the sense of being coachable, and which then it's related to personal ego, somewhat. How can you get a message across for people that, especially when you're working on teams, you're trying to build a startup, even working this goes out to students and whoever listens to this, even if you're working in a corporation, you can be entrepreneurial in the way you think, and you can, you have to be part of teams and build and present, and so the entrepreneurial mindset and spirit can work in a startup or in your own or in a corporation,
or if you're scooping ice cream.
Right.
No, it's everywhere. Like, you have that mentality.
What kills you is if you bring ego into the room, because that kind of stops you from being coachable. And there's ego on, like, I want to work hard and perform, and that's sort of the good ego. And there is the part of that you mentioned, like, I know everything type of ego.
Yep.
And you've seen this a lot, and it's, if you cannot leave what I usually call it, leave your luggage at the door, and come in a meeting or building a startup or working on a team without your personal ego, but doing the best what's needed for the project, for the team, or for the startup, then you're going to be that person who breaks, it creates problems.
Right.
And that's going to hinder your performance and your
Potential.
your growth. And if you're working for a corporation, probably promotions.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I would say the biggest thing there is that, right, why are you even talking to the mentor? You want to learn. You want to learn something and you might be a genius in one area.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, right? That doesn't mean you're a genius in all areas. To do a startup, you need all angles here. It's multidisciplined, right? You need the business knowledge. You need if it's a technical type startup, you need the technical. You need the people skills. You need the presentation skills. You need the writing skills. You need all different skills to make this startup work. And no one has them all. I don't care who it is. No one has them all. And you got to realize you need help. Everyone needs help. I need help. You need help. Everyone needs help, right? So that's how you get your ego. You're a genius in one thing. That's great. That's why you're going to help the mentor understand something that maybe they don't understand as much. Yeah, you do know them better. But if they have so much experience, don't forget, if it's in the same area that you're a genius in, you have to listen and let them and don't disregard what they're saying. Because if you say, yeah, that's good, but once you throw that but in there, right, it's going to be something bad. It's going to be something counter. And once you say but, you think you're going to get that feedback again from that person? No, you didn't. You're not listening to them. It goes back to you. Even if you want to say but, don't. Like, it's amazing if you count how many times you say but in a whole day. Hey, that's a great idea, but how about that's a great idea? And what I've seen is, and not but, it's just a simple thing.
A huge difference.
It's a huge difference, right? And I'm going to give you something I learned from my son when he was in high school, right? And that I was because he did improv in high school. He actually did improv in college too. And I was telling him about how I was getting fidelity training on don't say but, right? I was getting that executive training and do the and approach. And he said, that's the same thing with improv. Because if you say but, that shuts down the back and forth because the person has nowhere to go with that. They can't add unless they go with another. They have to do their negative. But you got to try this, right? That doesn't work. Now buts over but. So don't use but, use and still get your point across. But then it's about listening to each other and helping each other. But and then I learn every time I talk to a startup. Every time I talk to a student startup or any startup, I learn something new, which helps me in the next startup I talk to.
So from a mentor's point of view, because most of the time, not most of the time, all of the time, mentors for the younger generation and students especially, mentors don't get paid. They do this because they're giving back. They're helping, like Rob said in the beginning, you start out with, I want to help. I want to help my neighbor, I want to help people I know, and then over the years you accumulate a certain amount of expertise in a certain field, and you say, hey, I want to help the next generation if anybody needs my help. And it also makes you feel good when you have an impact on people. So from the mentors, what does a mentor get out of all this? What is the satisfaction?
They learn.
Because we're not getting money out of mentoring people. It's just mainly for fun, and you're putting hours of your time every month, every week to do this. And I know you put a lot more than a lot of people I know, which is, we here at i3 Lab and WPI are very grateful for. And we can't thank you enough for that. But so what does a mentor really get out from a satisfaction side of it?
Well, they get a lot. So, and I'm going to talk personally about me, but I'm sure it's for every single mentor, right? So, I learn so much. So when I talk to different people, I get a different perspective, even if it's the same topic and something I know well, right? it might be from a different generation. So I can say, oh, they think a little bit differently than an old guy like me, right? Or how are they challenged? Because again, could be different economics, could be different ages, could be different genders, right? I'm not them. How am I supposed to? So I learn from them.
Different
I know
countries, cultures.
and culture, right?
Yep.
Cultures, yeah, exactly, right. And you see how they frame things, how they talk about things, and why it's important to them. Because you want to ask questions that you, as a mentor, so you can really understand, right? So you get, so that's unbelievable learning, and I'm going to tell you, as a mentor, but even as a manager, as a leader, I used to have career conversations with my team. I used to offer it to everybody. If they didn't want to do it, that's great. No harm, no foul, right? But if you want it, come on in. And I tell them, I go, I'm not your manager now anymore. I'm here to help, right? And not that managers don't help, by the way, right? But so I might be their manager. I might be their manager's manager, right? But I'm gonna tell them, hey, it's how I think, where I think you should get better. This is what I think, what I did to try to get better, and how even if you focus on that strength and make that strength even stronger, that brings up whatever challenges you have in other areas too. So, and every time I have one of those sessions, I learn so much, so I can help the next person. I see the connection. I understand. You can't hit a fastball until you see, a gazillion fastballs, right? You can't hit a curveball. If you just see fastballs, you can't hit a curveball, right? So you got to see all those pitches, right, over and over again, repetition. So the more I talk with people, the more I learn with them from any age, right? And I see how other mentors ask questions. I learn, like when you pair up two mentors, right, in the I3 lab, I love that. There's questions that they're asking I didn't think of. That's a great question. I love that. I'm going to put that in the toolkit, right? And I'm learning from that mentor now and how they frame things, because they have a totally different background than me, right? So it's a huge learning, and when you see someone who's coachable, you hustle that much more for them. And the way I do my hustling, my network. I'm old. I got a big network. All levels, students, professors, industry leaders, presidents, startups, you name it, right? So I help. I get them connected. I say, go through my LinkedIn, pick out 2 to 3 names, and I'll get you a conversation with them. But I make them do a little homework and work on that person, because I want them to help me, so I can help, so I can help them to get them that connection. Then I leave it up to them. And never lead that conversation without, if you like the person, if you don't like them, don't do this. If you find out, like, wow, I want to learn more, now that you know a little bit more about me, ask that mentor, who else do you recommend I should talk with? Never leave a good conversation without getting another connection, ever.
The power of referrals, people.
Right. And the power of referrals is, I say, because this is my method of my madness to help the people I'm mentoring. I'm doing it right now with a Bentley student, doing it with a couple WPI students, talk this week with a UMass graduate student, right? All about because of fintech and how do you do it. I look at their resume and I go, and I coach them up on their resume, and I tell them how this doesn't even show your personal brand. What are you doing? It says, yeah, you got good actions here and you got all the buzzwords, but is this really what you want them to remember you by? This is generic, right? Hit it. Right, so I coach them up on that, and I tell them why that's important, right? But you got to hit the buzzwords for AI and the ATS software and all that goodness too. So you get those fundamentals. So so I talk to them, and then I go, and I tell them, I go, do some research on the person, go through my network, right? And they say if they're looking for founders, they want to learn from other startups, I go search and say, look for founders. Just look for founder in any title, right, in LinkedIn. And I'll introduce you. I know I got a ton of startups, right? And so I say research that person, and I tell them, I want you to write me a request to meet that X person, and tell me why. And it has to be something genuine, because they're gonna, once you do talk to them, they're gonna say, oh, you're really impressed with I did X. And I also tell them executives love to talk about themselves. They love it. If you go the extra mile and ask questions, I mean, and dig in deep and say, I'd love to learn how you end up being the for this charity, or you started this charity, or I see you play basketball and you also are a CEO. How do you put that together, right? So but write not a book, small paragraph, right? Small couple sentences, right? What really impressed you about that person? And then also look at the company that they're doing or their startup, what they're doing. Say what impresses you about that. And you can find them by looking at their startup or company or look at by their title, but talk about both. You send that, oh, I see this person's, Professor Sarnie or Rob, I don't care what they call me, and they say, oh, I'd love you to, introduce me to Jimmy Jones, right?
So in essence, in this day and age, everybody has enough digital footprint through their websites, through LinkedIn, through different platforms. So it's almost like it's almost a sin if you don't do your homework on researching the person that you want to meet.
On something.
So when you go there, you know a little bit, people, like you're saying, these executives, they're going to, if they're surfers or if they, have a boat or they do something or usually you're going to see what their associations go to, what charity digs them, what type of causes they,
What school they went to, what major they had, right? It just
find something to relate.
Right. You want that rapport, right? It's all about rapport, right? Same thing with interviews. It's all about rapport. They'll look the other way if you don't have all the skills. If you have rapport with someone, they'll hire you because they know you and they see you're coachable and they see you're going to hustle. Same thing for a mentor. So it's the same fundamentals just to get connection with people. But to finish off my little story, right? So I tell them, I go, the reason, and I tell them, you're not looking for a job. You just want to learn and grow. That's it. You want to learn and grow. Don't get into the job. That's going to come up when you talk with them, right? And I tell them, attach your resume too. And they know me. They know I like to hustle. So then they hear my voice first endorsing you that you gotta meet with Ardian, right? You gotta do that, right? Oh, he does. And I don't go deep. I go and look at, and I attach his resume so you can see his great experience and background. And he specifically picked out your name because they want to learn from you.
So it makes them feel good too.
It makes them feel good too. And then underneath, and I tell the student or startup or even professional, I do this for people my same age. And I say, when you write that first request, I'm going to forward that with a CC to you. And with your resume attached to make sure your resume is updated. It's the way you want it to be. So then I forward that, CC the student, and I say, and I know you're going to thoroughly, I tell that person, I go, I know you're going to thoroughly enjoy talking with this person. I go, I leave the two to you. Ardian's CC'd on this. Leave it from there.
Job done.
And then I if you don't hear from them, right? I go, follow up with them.
Yeah.
Because now you have a connection. You're both in the same email. And CC me, knowing that I know they didn't get back to you. Because they know me. They know I hustle. They know I've helped. And sometimes it's someone from, I think I love about it, sometimes students pick out someone from 10, 15, 20 years ago. I love that because then I get to reconnect with them myself. Right. So it's a win-win for me, too. I did that just someone I worked with 20 years ago. I always started out, I'm not sure if you remember me, but we worked back and blah, 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 did this, and they're like, of course I remember you, Rob. And I'm thinking, I remember them, so they got to, how can you forget me, right?
I mean, come on.
You can't forget me, right? So it's all about building it. So I love, I often I put that on a few people that I haven't talked to in 15 years. I'd love to take you out to coffee and catch up at the end, just to so I can pay you back for considering to talk to Ardian, and this is one example. So my network is probably my superpower. Along with the other stuff, but that's what I think I could do my best. And I always tell students, pick people out that went to the same school you did. Because I talk to someone stuff you got commonality right there, right? And that's in one of the startups. I said, go to advancement. I go, you want to talk to construction? Okay, great. I'll get you connected to advancement. I'll tell them, these folks want to, these students, startups, they got a great idea. They'd love to connect with construction, and I connected it with advancement. Then advancement, and I stuck you on those emails so you could see advancement hustled. They end up getting them like, well, how many? And they're emailing me on the side. How many people should we get? I'm like, as many as you can.
Right.
That's
right.
That's the answer I gave back to them, and the students weren't on that. But and I got to catch up with them, and they did. They got to meet with some great people. So
no, they were very, very. We won't name them here today, but they were very grateful.
In a field that I'm not even in.
Yeah.
So I just can. I get people probably in almost every field, and I'll give them my 2 cents, and I'll tell them like, this is the person you got to talk to.
So you've seen a lot of mentor networks, a lot of different mentorship programs. What makes a strong mentorship ecosystem / program,
Yeah.
in your view?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about helping and coaching the mentee. It's about also helping and coaching the mentor. Because some of these mentors probably haven't done it too much, even though they really know what they're doing. It's hard. It's hard, right? So, and so you train. It's what we did at Fidelity, and we do that as much as we can in the Mass FinTech Hub mentoring program. By the way, that's
Shout out to Mass FinTech
Mass
Hub.
FinTech
Great
Hub.
program.
We got a mentoring program. I do all the matching, So, but I have people overseeing me, make sure I don't go crazy town, to make sure. But I do the matching, and then I double check with, because we have so many different students from so many different. They know their students better than me, but so for it's about a little bit of oversight, right? So I've seen times when we haven't done oversight, and the mentoring program didn't go so well. On both sides, mentor and mentee. Did they follow up? Did the mentee do it? Right? Did the mentee follow up? Did the mentor have to follow up? No, some mentors are just go-getters, and they go, yeah, I set up the meetings. Okay, if that works for you guys, go. But the mentee really should be setting things up. It's their job, right? But we coach them up. Mentee, we said, what makes a great mentee? What makes a great mentor? So they up right from the kickoff. We used to do that in person at Fidelity. I do it more video because all these mentees and mentors are all over the state. Can't meet in one place, too hard. So it's more from a video standpoint, which we talk about that. And then it's about follow-up. And tell you the truth, I need and the team that's putting it takes a village, right? We got to do more follow-up. And it's not just here's a survey, fill it out. I hate surveys. I don't know.
Right. Nobody likes them.
Yeah, no, who does? I mean, come on, right? So it's about, hey, reach out to individually. Rob to that mentor, Rob to that person, right? Say, have you met? If they don't get back to me, and I want to know early, because I'll move them out of there, and the mentors, I'll rematch quickly. If it's not the right match, okay, let's do it early. No, I'll move on, but let's do the switcheroo early. Because there's always, it might not. I thought it was good, but maybe it wasn't good until found out later, right? And for either side, and so and the thing that kills me sometimes is that's when I knew I should have done more follow up. I hear from the mentor, yeah, the mentee never got back to me. Well, why didn't you tell me that? I would have fixed it if you told me that in the first week. Come on, so keep me updated. Going forward. Reach out. So reach out, and I'll help you. So it's about oversight. It's about touch base, not a lot, and not just send out a survey.
Keeping people in the loop.
Right, and it's fine. If you do send out a survey and you get answers from them, great. You don't have to follow up. Awesome. But a lot of them aren't going to do it. So then you can't just say, oh well, I'm not going to. You got to follow up individually.
But it's hard to get the real story from a survey of especially asking these questions from 1 to 5.
Right.
How effective was this? And there's always nuance.
Always.
So you want to understand nuance.
You got to seek to understand, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't. Text is.
All right,
who's the best writers? No one.
I got a couple of more things I want to talk to you about. But
okay.
To wrap up the mentorship section of it, one last thing for student founders. One last thing, what should they be seeking out of their mentorship relationship? We assign them mentors. We usually tell them, and we make sure to tell them that this falls on you to follow up with your mentors. They're busy individuals. They usually get paid lots of money on the jobs they do or the careers they have, and they're giving all this time for free to help students succeed.
Yep.
In this startup endeavor or areas of life. And even if your startup fails, we tell them all the time, you can learn so much from this person. So the lessons you get, they stay with you for life.
Yep.
So regardless of what happens is there. What is your message to students to get the most out of their mentorship network, out of their mentorship relationship?
Yeah, I mean, same fundamentals that for the mentee, right? I mean, for the mentor. Ask questions. Get to know that person. They're just people. Even though they're top executive, they're still people. They're still challenged. And try and dig in and find out how they wrestled with it, because they had to grow up just like you, right? They were young once, even though you might be hard, right? They were 12 at one time. They were 18 at one time. They were 22 at one time. They were silly college students, right, at one time. They all were, right? So realize that and try to learn from that. Ask your questions. Get to understand how they grew up. What were the challenges they had? Like when I used to talk to senior executives, I'm saying, you probably have seen this so many times. How do you handle it? And then I'd say, this is how I tried to do it, just so they get a little background, so I give them a little more information when I want to get coached and mentored. And I got some of the best feedback by doing that, and because you get kind of specific on what you want your help with, right? And I remember, and I still use this, and I use this in my coaching and my mentoring. I had the CIO of my group at Fidelity said, never underestimate the power of a dialogue. You can learn so much. Don't ever, if you get a chance for a dialogue, have that dialogue. Ask questions, learn, dig deeper, find out the why and how did they do it and why did they do it and what drove them to, how'd they figure out that situation? Like really go in deep on the nuances, because it goes like all these startups, especially at WPI, they're all probably all of them STEM based at some level, right? So STEM is hard. It's super hard, right? You know what's harder? People. People are harder, right? Way harder, right?
The hardest.
They change every day. They change. Depends on the meeting they just came in before. Depends on the economics. Depends on
the weather.
Depends on what the children did or something. Who knows, right? That changes every day. STEM, you'll figure it out. By the School of Hard Knocks, you'll dig in. You'll figure out. You'll code it. You'll get it right, right? People, they change all the time, and they change depending on which way the wind's blowing sometimes, right?
Yep.
So you got to get to the people side. It's all about people. And if you don't do that, you're not going to learn and you're not going to be a great startup. And you got to have that passion. Because then when your startup starts growing, how are you going to get the people trained up to have the right culture? And so you pick the right people that have the culture. And you don't want one size fits all. You want different dynamics and different diversity and different cultures and right. It's especially if it feeds your product you're doing, right? You want to have everybody to give you a different angle, because you don't know it all, because you grew up in one way in one place, and and then and even if you lived in 10 countries, you only know 10 countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch more.
Yeah, right. So that's get it out from that mentor. Leverage them as much as you can.
Be coachable. Leave your egos aside. Listen before you speak, especially, and never say but.
And offer to help that mentor too. Offer to help that mentor. I need help, right? And I always joke with students, like, hey, once you get a big startup, take me out to lunch. That's all I ask. Take me out.
That's the payback.
Yeah, that's the payback. Just take me out to.
All right, so let me switch gears just for the fun of it. I mean, this is great. I hope everybody will learn a lot from this, and you'll get some points to keep on their toolkit, the importance of mentorship and what you need to do to get the most out of it. You mentor here at WPI. You teach. I know you teach at a couple of universities. We won't mention them. We won't do a free advertisement, but it's okay. Great places. You are a big part and a big deal at the Must FinTech Hub and on their mentorship program, and everything that happens. You can't go to any of these events and everything they run. And Rob Sarnie is there 90% of the time, running around connecting people. It's like, at some point I want to capture that on film in action and be like Rob Sarnie connecting people. And then on top of it, you throw a podcast. How many episodes have you filmed?
Well, it's 24 episodes, and I did it all over the summer. But it was 12 people though. 12 people, parts 1 and part 2, because I keep them tight. I try to keep them 20 to 25 minutes each.
So I love one thing about, I've seen a couple of episodes, but I love the title of your podcast, What the Heck FinTech. So when you're coming up with it, what are you going to call it? You just say, what the heck, I'm going to talk about FinTech, and I'm going to name this, and who cares? Or you thought, this is a catchy thing, and people might remember it.
So so a little story there, right? So all good things come from your wife. So remember that.
True.
Right? Is that true? That's true. You know, it's true, right?
Absolutely.
So brainstorming with Marilyn. You know
Yeah.
Marilyn, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like, hey, what should we do the name? And she came up with, what the heck is FinTech? Right? And I said, yeah, I like that. What the heck is FinTech? Right? Yeah, like there was a lot of iterations that we were doing, right? But that one, I go, I like that. What the heck is FinTech? So then, and a person you know, Vasilios.
Oh, yeah, I know Vasilios.
So Vasilios, I saw him at an event. I go, because I was talking about, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, right? And then I told him the name. He's like, it's too long. It won't fit in a box. It'll be better in a nice little box. Like, and he said, what the heck, FinTech? And it just dropped the is, right? It could make it that much tighter. And I'm like, yeah, because that could be many different things. Like, why would you do that? What the heck, FinTech? Like, what the heck, FinTech? You know, it depends how it hits it from so many different angles, you know? Like, how should we do this? What the heck? FinTech, right? So it's just so many different ways that you can, so that's why I went with it, right? And the whole idea because the whole idea was to demystify FinTech. FinTech is fin life. It's in every single industry. It's in every single company, whether a little or a lot. Even if it's a landscaping company, they're doing some FinTech, right? And you got to understand that. So it's not, people look at FinTech, oh, it's crypto and blockchain. It's, and they look at it as a vertical. It's a horizontal, just like AI. AI is horizontal, and FinTech is fin life. That's simple, right? To make finance frictionless. And that's my whole thing, to demystify it. Because of all the terms, I mean, especially, there's so many finance terms, people are like, what are you talking about, right? Like even like debit and credit, it means something different in banking than it does in accounting.
Yeah.
So like what, right? And all these terms, right? So, and people don't understand financials because they don't need to, but they need to understand at least finance in general, and expense and revenue, right? And so that no one understands finance terms. And then you get all these tech terms, right? And they're changing every day, right? Agentic AI, what's that difference between LLMs and all that? And all these other, because the terms changing all the time, right? You smash those together and no one knows what the hell's going on, right? So FinTech is, I want to make it, FinTech is frictionless finance. The way you want to smell it, move it, understand it, educate someone on it, transact it, forecast it, whatever it is, right? Predict it, whatever it is, right? And or monetize whatever you're trying to monetize. Like, because if you're not adding business value, it's not a business, it's a hobby. So it's in every single. So I want people to understand that. So I'm trying to bring in all angles of FinTech. Brought in the previous economic secretary of Massachusetts, Jay Ash, right, to talk about, and he talked about economics and how FinTech is so important, and what happened in health tech. You learn from other industries. That's also another thing. Look at other industries that might be doing something not even similar, totally different. You can understand.
They could apply it.
Right. How did they grow Massachusetts to be the health, the biosciences and health tech in the world?
Yep.
Well, let's steal from that, right? And connect FinTech with that, because FinTech and health tech and insurtech is important, right? So, but then also I talked with Dean Jackson on how we grew FinTech here with FinTech for social good. Because everyone thinks FinTech is the evil empire, right? It's just the wealthier get wealthy, right? No, it's about you could sell one thing for $1 million or sell $1 million for $1.
Yeah.
And if you have it frictionless, it doesn't matter, right?
So the more friction you get rid of, the more you can open up to the masses and have social impact and do more good with within the fintech.
had WPI professors, had venture capital come
Yeah.
in, and how they grew up and got to it. And I always say, and I have a little 3-minute intro. I was doing fintech before it had a cool name. I've been doing it for almost 40 years. Was it? Cause I was an accounting undergrad, I realized I don't really like accounting, but I never left my accounting background and finance background. And I ended up being a developer. I went business side, technical side, until I just smashed them together. And then now I was doing fintech before it had a cool name. So I'm out to help people with that. And what we did here at WPI with fintech, no one still hasn't done it yet, right?
Yeah.
With the triple stack program, right? And I'm not an academic. I'm just an industry guy that retired, and I wanted to teach and help and coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to do it here, which was great. And but we grew it so quickly, and Dean Jackson realized, okay, we're onto something here.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't go to WPI for a finance degree, but you would for a fintech degree. And so and then we hired unbelievable tenured professor Kwame Dunbar. And then Shane Gao, and then Daniel Treku, right? It takes because we didn't have to amp up on the tech. We had to amp up on the finance, because you can't do that with a joker like me. You need real finance, PhD professors to make this thing happen. I'm an industry guy, and so we put that together, and it's like magic. And Mass FinTech Hub wants to replicate that.
Yeah.
Because it's unusual. I didn't realize how
there's
unusual it was. What happened until after it happened.
It was the first program in the nation.
It still is.
Yeah.
Still
And,
is. Still is.
We have to get more fintech startups out of WPI now.
You should, right? And that's why it was great always partnering with entrepreneurship. It was in the business school, right?
Yeah.
And with
This
Professor
year we had-
Garcia, if a startup came to her and it even smelled like fintech, she'd say, hey, go talk to these people. Yeah, let's do it. And vice versa. If I had someone come to me, I'm thinking from a fintech standpoint, I got this idea. You gotta go. You gotta go to talk to Rosanna and Ardian and get going, right? Because that's not my forte. That's I3 and Professor Garcia and Ardian's, and your team.
No, so you've been a great ally of ours, internally and externally all the time. So we can't be thankful enough to you. I have one last question for you. So the audience can get to know personal Rob a bit, apart from all the mumbo jumbo that we did around mentorship and professionalism and stuff. How many times have you been to Disney this year?
Oh, just this. Well, define year in the last 12 months, or is it the
12 months.
12 months? Well, probably nine times.
How much you love Disney?
I love Disney. Well, I also every annual pass at Disney. Once I retired from Fidelity and I was in academics, then I got an annual pass, because you got a lot of time to yourself, when you're teaching, right? You get a lot of breaks. You don't have as much, right? And because they're paying you for a reason at Fidelity, right? You got to hustle, right? Doesn't mean I don't have vacation and stuff. And I still went to Disney a lot. I'd go once or twice a year. Then I started amping up to 3-4 times. And now I'm retired. So then let's pick it up. And I'm going on cruises all the time too. Not just, I've been on 6 Disney cruises, but it's Royal Caribbean. Now I'm Diamond. I'm actually going on a cruise on Sunday. So a lot of cruises, been on probably 8 cruises in the last 14 months. My nirvana is for vacation. Disney, go, hit the parks, hit them hard, get on the rides, and then go on a cruise right after that. Like immediately, boom, boom, and then relax and have a nice cruise.
So people know how Rob Sarnie operates. He's in a cruise somewhere, probably near Turks and Caicos or somewhere. I shoot him an email while he's in vacation about a topic that I needed help with a student. He responds to me within half an hour, and then he attaches a picture of the ocean from the cruise, and he goes, "That's it for this week, leave me alone." And he was all joking, of course, but he's like, doesn't matter where he is, he's always go, let's get stuff done, let's respond, let's move on.
Because that's the fidelity in me, right? So I never went on a vacation without my PC, because systems, right? And I had systems that had to be up, 99.9% of the time. So if they go down, you got to be ready to roll, right? So I'm used to that, and I don't leave until I have my PC with me.
So who do you love more, Disney or Celtics?
Depends on the scenario, right? I mean, you smash those together. I actually have Disney shirts with Mickey wearing Celtics gear.
Oh,
And I
there
wear
you go.
that, and I wear it in the parks because they're playing, right? And they're playing that night, or in the playoffs, or whatever. Same thing with the Patriots and stuff too. I'm always flying a flag, and I do have flags that are Mickey in the Red Sox or whatever. So it's all one thing to me. It all comes together. And fintech and the fintech that's going on in Disney is amazing. They're
Of
always
course.
it's amazing with the app and what they do and how they know where you are. They know how many
The
Mickey bars I have.
efficiencies and
Right. And everything's underground, and you never see that. You never see a barrel, right? You never see a barrel. Everything, and I've done the tour underneath before too, and then fintech and sports is my nirvana. It's great. It's like that. That's why I love doing the fintech projects with the Woo Sox. It was, and then talking with the Red Sox, but then I left WPI. I was talking with the Giants to do a project with them, and it's great. And so it's all one thing to me. It's like, so don't ever leave a piece of you out of what you do, because it's you, and that's how you bring uniqueness, no matter what it is.
We're going to close with this. Rob Sarnie, thank you for being a mentor. Thank you for being an entrepreneur in residence, and thank you for all the help that you've given to us over the years.
Got a lot of more.
And thanks for being you.